Hey guys, welcome back to yet another Remnant 2 video. So I've done a lot of challenge runs on this channel. The Rusty Weapons run, the Cheese run, the Losing is Fun run,
Ouchie.
a few any % speed runs, and most recently a new game hardcore apocalypse run. But of course, there's one type of run that every Souls-like content creator must complete in order to prove their skill. You know it, you love it, I'm talking about the level 1 run. In other Souls-like games, this means beating the game without leveling up your character. It's a challenging run for sure, but there's ways to negate the difficulty in those games. Such as by leveling your weapon, using item buffs, getting powerful spells or rings, and so on. But for Remnant 2, this challenge has a different meaning. Unlike those other games, we don't get to choose when to level up our character. Each character has a power level. It starts at level 1 and maxes out at level 20. Your character's power level is determined by two different pieces of your character. The first piece used to determine your power level is your archetype level. As your character gains XP from combat and quests, your archetype level will increase. Your two highest level archetypes are added together, and the result is used to determine your power level. This means we'll need to avoid as much combat as possible to keep our archetypes from leveling up. The second piece used to determine your power level is your weapon level. All weapons start at level 0, and for this run, they will need to stay at level 0. This is something we have control over, which is nice, but it means we won't be able to use strong weapons to make up for our overall weak character. So, now that we understand how power level is determined, is it even possible to beat Remnant 2 and stay at power level 1? Well, today, we're going to find out, so let's go over the plan for this run. First, and most importantly, I'll need to skip as much combat as possible. There will be some unavoidable combat encounters, of course, such as boss fights and holdout sections, but we'll want to limit this as much as possible to keep ourselves from leveling up. Second, I'll need to find alternative ways to increase my damage. With level 0 weapons and archetypes, my damage will be absolute garbage. If I can even make it to Root Earth, Cancer and Venom will be pretty much unkillable. The best option to boost my damage will be from weapon mods, rings, a good necklace, all of which are pretty expensive. Third, I'll need to gather as many resources as I can. Since I can't defend myself from enemies, it'll be hard to reliably gather resources without being overwhelmed. But I will need as much money as possible to afford the previously mentioned mods and rings, as well as consumables like ammo boxes. Moving on to character creation. I'll be doing this run on Veteran difficulty. While I did consider playing on Apocalypse instead, I think Veteran will be challenging enough considering how much is stacked against us already. After you watch the run, let me know down in the comments below if you think this run was difficult enough. For my starting archetype, I went with the Gunslinger. The Gunslinger is my favorite archetype to start with when aiming to max my DPS. Later on, I will come to regret this decision somewhat, and you'll see why. After we load in, the first thing we do is remove some armor to avoid equip weight penalties. We're going to be doing a lot of running, which means blue equip weight is the way to go. Afterwards, we head straight to McCabe and pick up Hotshot. Hotshot is the best starting mod for DPS, especially on a Gunslinger. Once we're all set, we head off to our first location, the Forgotten Prison on Naruud.
Hello.
Fast as fuck, boy.
The Custodian gives us a handful of poison bombs, which we'll sell later for a lot of money. He then immediately sends robots to kill us, like the evil bastard he is. We drop down and pick up the escalation circuit as well. We head back to Ward 13 to sell the bombs and circuit, giving us a pretty sweet stack of early game cash. With our newfound wealth, we immediately use it to buy Daredevil's Charm. Daredevil's Charm is frequently used in my videos, but in case this is your first time here, Hey, welcome to the channel. Glad to have you here and hope you stick around. Now, about Daredevil's Charm. It gives us a 30% boost to all of our damage dealt, and a 12% increase to our movement speed, as long as our character is naked. This makes it a risky necklace to wear, but the damage boost will be essential for pretty much every boss fight in the game.
I'm in danger!
With our new necklace equipped and our character stripped, we're ready to head back to 𝗟𝐸.
Another one.
We're at the hatchery now, and we don't really need anything here. So the plan is just to run through as fast as possible.
Gold, please.
What kind of place is this?
Another one.
The game won't let us rest, so we head straight into the boss fight instead. Primogenitor is the first boss of this run. This boss is a pretty easy encounter if you aim for him and time your dodges. He is the only flying enemy in the room that will actively try to hit you, so keep your eye on him and move away from the others if they get close. The boss goes down easily, and while we receive a little bit of XP, we're still pretty far from the next level.
I'm horny and sad.
Oh, my shoulder.
Yoink!
Before fighting Tal'Ratha, we head back to Ward 13. We sell some junk and pick up Burden of the Gambler and Devoured Loot. Burden of the Gambler disables weak spots on enemies, but increases crit chance by 10%. This, combined with our rifle's base crit chance of 10%, gives us a whopping 20% crit chance. Devoured Loop gives us a 1% chance to instantly reset all of our skill cooldowns when we land a crit. With the right skills, this can turn into a huge boost of damage, which is exactly what we want. Now let's do a little bit of math. Currently, we can expect to land a crit roughly once every 5 hits, and we can expect to proc Devoured Loop roughly once every 100 crits. So that means that once every 500 hits or so, our skill cooldowns will reset and we'll get a big burst of damage. You know, when you do the math like that, this actually sounds pretty bad. I'd like to pick up a second mod power before the fight, but we don't have enough Luminite for the space crabs. So I decided to go with Concussive Shot instead. Concussive Shot is not a great mod power, but it should be enough to help clean up the smaller enemies during the boss fight. After buying Concussive Shot, we head back to 𝗟𝐸, drink this weird potion I found lying around, and straight into the boss fight with Tal'Ratha. Our damage is not great, but frequently getting crits and the damage boost from Hot Shot is helping some. Concussive Shot is actually able to one-shot the zombies, which is nice. Tal'Ratha goes down, and Devoured Loop didn't proc once that entire fight. Bad decisions aside, we've completed the first world and make our way to the Labyrinth.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Checking on our archetype level, we can see our XP is starting to build up, and now that we have enough Illuminite, it's time to head back to the ward and pick up our second archetype. When you have two archetypes equipped, the XP becomes split evenly between them. This means that having a second archetype equipped will buy us a little bit more time. I pick up the Hunter archetype, mostly for Hunter's Mark. Hunter's Mark will give us an additional 15% chance to crit against marked enemies. Since we're just running past everything in the Labyrinth anyways, let's use this time to revisit our earlier crit math. If we add in the extra 15% crit chance from Hunter's Mark, this boosts our crit chance to a total of 35%, or roughly once every 3 hits. This means that Devoured Loop will now proc roughly once every 300 hits, which is better but still kinda terrible. The Labyrinth has the first of 3 mandatory holdout sections in the game. These enemies don't give XP, but we will be rewarded with some after completing the event.
Denied! Sit down!
Damage isn't going to help us for the cube boss, so we take off Daredevil's charm and throw on our Gunslinger drip instead. With the boss down and the key acquired, we head to the next world of the run, Losomn.
This one looks dangerous!
Gold, please. Another one.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
Huh? Oh shit! Still fast as fuck, boy!
Before doing Cotton's Kiln, we head back to Ward 13 and check with Cass. I'm looking for either a Kari Ring or Burden of the Destroyer, both of which will be a big boost to our damage. She has neither, of course, so I sell her my trash and buy the Ring of Flawed Beauty instead. The Ring of Flawed Beauty will boost our weak spot damage, which will be valuable in certain boss fights. We'll be alternating between this ring and Burden of the Gambler depending on if the boss has a weak spot or not. I then head to McCabe and buy the weapon Nebula. Nebula and its weapon mod will be a big boost in damage, at least when compared to our revolver and concussive shot. It also applies an acid debuff, which will further boost our chance to crit. I also trade the Wrangler for the Widowmaker. The Widowmaker packs more punch than the Wrangler, but it will require careful aim to use effectively. Unfortunately, the slower rate of fire means Devoured Loop will proc even less, but I didn't consider this at the time. In hindsight, I probably should have gone with the Huntmaster instead.
Me no Reiki. Another one.
E-balls, fuck you, man.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
The fight with Gwendil is pretty normal, but our lower damage is starting to show. She is level 7 and we're still at level 1. I am actually able to land some good hits on her bombs. It's here that it finally happens. Did you see it? Look closely. Devoured Loop finally procced, and our cooldowns reset. We also use our melee weapon for the first time of this run, and I'm rudely reminded that I have the Scrap Hatchet. If you want to know why I hate the Scrap Hatchet, then watch part 3 of my New Game Apocalypse Archetypes ranking videos. Oh, wait. Never mind. Anyways, it's a close call, but Gwendil goes down.
Gold, please.
Checking on our archetype, we are getting dangerously close to leveling up now. There's not much we can do about it for now, so we continue on. Nothing interesting happens for a while, so let's jump ahead to the Gilded Chambers. The Red Prince will be waiting for us at the end of the area. Here's a fun fact about the Red Prince. When I was doing the Losing is Fun challenge, the Red Prince killed me 71 times. Yep, that's right, 71 times. And even after dying 71 times, I still think the Red Prince is a pretty great boss fight. Anyways, let's get back to the run.
Ahí está.
Morirás vivir. Morirás vivir. Come on, motherfucker! Come on, motherfuckers, come on! Come on, motherfuckers, come on! Yeah.
And now it's time to challenge the Red Prince. I actually have a pretty good first attempt, but I end up dying to one of the Phantoms. I decide to head back to Ward 13 to check with Cass again. She still doesn't have what we need, so I head over to Reggie and pick up Black Cat Band instead. Black Cat Band will allow us to survive an otherwise fatal hit once every few minutes. It would be better for us to have a ring that boosts damage, but this is better than the other options, at least for now. The second attempt against the Red Prince seems promising, and then this happens.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
But on the third attempt, we managed to take him down. If you've made it this far into the video, be sure to comment skill issue down below. Checking on our archetype, we are nearly 2/3 of the way to the next level, but thankfully we have enough Luminite to finally do something about it. So before fighting the Nightweaver, we head back to Ward 13 again. This time we head over to Wally to pick up our third archetype for this run, the Engineer. Since we no longer have the Gunslinger equipped, we're not in danger of increasing its level. This unfortunately means we won't be able to use Quick Draw, and instead we'll need to rely on the Engineer's turret to deal damage instead. This is what I meant earlier when I said I regret starting as the Gunslinger. I should have saved it for the harder part of this run, and now I'm stuck without it. We head back to the Asylum for a fight against the Nightweaver. While editing this video, I noticed something interesting. You can see Nebula is getting a bunch of crits against the Nightweaver, and one of the crits actually procs my Devoured Loop. This has some pretty insane build potential, but I didn't notice it during the run. With the Nightweaver defeated, we move on to the next world of the run, Yaesha.
I'm a snake.
Another one.
These enemies are in the boss fight for some reason, so we have to quit out. After switching back to Daredevil's Charm, we're ready to take on Kaeula's Shadow.
Gold, please.
Another one.
And the Faithless Thicket proves too tricky for us just to run through and hope we don't die. So we make a quick pit stop at Ward 13. Cass finally has the Akari Warband, which will help boost our crits. We also pick up the Twisted Idol, which will allow us to wear our armor without a stamina penalty.
Oh my god, what is that? Oh my god!
After switching back to Daredevil's Charm, we're ready for the fight against Legion. Legion is 8 levels higher than us, and a regenerator. We'll need to stay aggressive or he will easily overpower us. Legion is resistant to range damage when he's like this. However, elemental damage such as fire or acid will still hurt him. While Hot Shot is still active, we need to keep taking shots. Otherwise, his regenerator will overpower our poor DPS. It's a tough fight, but we're barely able to take Legion on the first try.
Gold, please.
It's a tough fight, but Bambi finally goes down. With the third and final world boss defeated, we're ready to head to Root Earth in the final stretch of the game. Before entering the train yard, we make sure to pick up the extra trait point, as well as 𝐑𝗟𝐻𝑆 Malice. 𝐑𝗟𝐻𝑆 Malice will greatly boost our weak spot damage. This ring, combined with the Ring of Flawed Beauty, will greatly help us against the final boss of the game.
Another one.
The Trainyard battle turns out to be the hardest part of this run so far, and it's not even close. I guess that's to be expected considering we are level 1 and this is a level 12 encounter.
Fuck out of here, boy. Get that weak shit out of here. Something curved my ass, nigga. Get the fuck out of here, man.
It takes us a whopping 5 attempts, but we eventually triumph and continue on. It's time for the fight against Cancer. Before starting the fight, I switch back to the Wrangler. My plan is to land as many crits as possible, and the Wrangler is the better choice due to the higher rate of fire. Now, if you've seen some of my previous runs, you know this boss can glitch out and become significantly harder. We'll have to hope that Cancer shows mercy on us today. Fortunately, Cancer does not glitch out, making this fight a pretty standard affair. But with our DPS as low as it is, the fight does go on for a fairly long time. With enough effort, Cancer does go down on the first try. We try to run through the corrupted harbor, but get sniped right before reaching safety. So we head back to Ward 13 and pick up our 4th archetype for this run. The Invader's Void Cloak will give us a huge boost to our survivability. We also stop by Cass and pick up the Enlarged Heart, and then over to Dwell to pick up the Mutator Battery. Between 𝐑𝗟𝐻𝑆 Malice, Ring of Flawed Beauty, and Battery, our weak spot damage is looking pretty damn good. Lastly, we head over to McCabe and pick up the Song of 𝐸thar, which will be a big help against the upcoming double Mantis fight. We head back to the Corrupted Harbor, and with the help of Void Cloak, we're able to run through without much issue. Since I know I'm going to be swarmed with enemies in the next room, I decide to forego Daredevil's Charm and prioritize survivability instead. And now it's time for the final holdout section of the game, the double Mantis fight. There's no sugarcoating it, our damage sucks. Without Daredevil's Charm equipped, our bullets can even down the weaker enemies without landing multiple hits. Normally you can shoot these guys while they power up and it will interrupt them, but we're too weak to even do that. It takes 2 attempts, but we complete the event and continue on to challenge Venom. Before fighting Venom, we head back to the ward, and there it is. Cass finally has the burden of the Destroyer for us. We pick it up and switch back to our Widowmaker. We also buy a ton of ammo boxes, just in case. And now, time for the fight against Venom. With our Widowmaker back in hand, and all of our DPS boosting gear equipped, we're actually doing some pretty decent damage to Venom. I run out of ammo during the fight and realize I forgot to put the damn ammo boxes on my hotbar. With a little bit of effort, Venom goes down, and we're in the final boss of the game. For this final fight, we switch back to the Gunslinger and Hunter archetypes. We also upgrade our relic capacity, giving us 2 uses of our enlarged heart. And now, for the final boss of this game, Annihilation. And that's it. The boss is beaten, the credits have rolled, and we're still power level 1. So, to answer the title of this video, yes, it is possible to beat Remnant 2 at level 1. I hope you all enjoyed the run. I had a great time as always. If you enjoyed this video, please consider dropping a like, and if you want to see more Remnant content, maybe consider subscribing as well. If you have any ideas for a challenge run that you'd like to see me attempt, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. If you'd like to watch another video similar to this one, consider checking out the Cheese Run, where I complete the game by glitching through doors and skipping chunks of content.
Come on, motherfucker! Come on, motherfuckers, come on! Come on, motherfuckers, come on!
If you're the kind of person who enjoys falling asleep to long videos, consider checking out my new game Hardcore Apocalypse Run. I would totally fall asleep to it if it wasn't my own video. Instead, watching it just gives me a panic attack. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.